going to change direction in some ways, or to expand the current growing paradigm, with Fernando Vossa, who I've described a few times as a wizard of consciousness, and his focus on our perception and the way our brains work, the way our imagination works. So for the next hour, we have Fernando Vossa.
Thank you. Check, baby, check, 1, 2. We are living in the age of creation. We are living in the age of awakening. So it's time for a new language to enter the academia, to enter business, to enter the garages and spaces where people are creating the new reality. This act of creation, this act of beginning with a thought, beginning with an intention, and we focus it like a laser, and the universe starts moving that energy, those molecules, to shape itself in mercy and in love and in benevolence, to be a perfect mirror to what is inside of you. Then we charge it with emotion, anxiety and the frustration and the excitement that we go through when we're building technology, we're building businesses, we're establishing our presence in the planet. That turns into a form. The universe structures matter and reality from our thoughts. That should be the first step in science, in the formulas. There can be no formulas of energy, there can be no formulas of forces without the human equation in the middle. It can't happen anymore. That's what's going to take as the first step to be conscious creators. This conglomeration of belief and thought and intention turns into what's known as resonance. It's the music of the spheres. It's coming from our embodiment of soul. And if that sounds like poetic language, that sounds a little touchy, spiritual woo-woo, get ready for what's coming next. We are engines of mass creation. We have one model that says we're looking for the soul, the human essence, in this physical body. This is the human soul. The human soul contains the physical body. Let's just jump to that understanding right away. It's not going to be a vapor or some kind of light energy that's inside the physicality that we are. When we establish coherence, what that means is we have a clean, focused intention. When we have lasers, we take white light, put it into a tube and energize it and bounce it back and forth until those photons are dancing to one frequency, like a green laser or a red laser. That's how our thoughts have to be to create this new reality. When we're resonating life, that's all there is in the universe. There is love, there is consciousness, and the form of that is all life. That has to be in the formulas too. In the equations, when I see the spreadsheets and the budgets, somewhere there's variables that are human. How about breaking into the understanding that this resonance that we create, kind of like the chakra system that we learn about, begins with the awakening, the opening of our eyes. That's the first thing we should teach children. Wake up, you're in the reality. What are you going to do here? It's open to all possibilities. There are no limitations at the awakening stage. The opposite of awakening is that broken mind that cannot see the possibilities. The most extreme of that is somebody who wants to commit suicide. They've reduced their reality down to two options. Face your problem or end it. We are heading in that direction with our current systems. We're limiting the ability for this conscious being to see all possibilities. And it moves on from there, having a clear intention and harmonizing it with the intentions of others. That's when we create that collective reality. That's where we're moving up the system from grounding to our earth. That's our awakening, our activation, our harmonization. We're already moving into higher functions of the heart. This is where the brain is. It's not this thing inside your coconut. The brain is the entire body that is contained in the soul, which is all of reality. There's enough room in this universe for all of our realities. There's one timeline for a dark future. There's another timeline where there's money. There's another timeline where there's no money. We get to choose. And there's a room enough for every philosophy that's in here. So we move on to envisioning with our third eye, our higher functionality. We step into the landscape of possibility and we expand creation with everything that we do. Every thought, every word, every action, every intention expands more and more. The economy is contained within all of this. The reality of energy is contained with all of this. There is no overriding system on this planet that can override this. None whatsoever. And then we unify. We connect to the one source that we all are. Each one of you is a piece of me. Like when we say in Lakesh, you are another myself. I am another yourself. You are each a reflection of me, and I'm a reflection of you. So when I am at a lab building weapons, I'm killing myself. When I'm in a bank building systems of control, I am controlling me. And children are awakening to that. They already know this. They don't know what the hell our problem is. We recently had an opportunity to interact with Dr. Bruce Lipton. Of his 3 decades of research, the first thing he says is, let's look at the field of intelligence. Let's look at that so-called quantum chaotic, organic, pranic possibilities and give it form. Disease exists in the energetic fields. Corruption exists in the field, and it gets expressed in form of a society that is enslaved. It gets expressed in form of energy systems designed to divide us and to explode us. This is the new formula. E equals mc squared was the recipe for separation. It was a type of weapon of mass destruction for consciousness. It wasn't Einstein's fault necessarily. He was living in that vibration, and that served a purpose in its time. Let's take the equals out of that equation, and let's put humanity, engines of mass creation, raised to the human intention. That's where science should begin, is my suggestion. Yes. Then we can play with the possibilities of energy that is seeking to form itself to reflect our intention. It's that simple. The machines, when we look at free energy, breakthrough technologies, are reflecting our intention. And it's inversely the same with weapons. If we take the metal designed or used in bombs and melt that, the atomic structure of those metals reflect the intention of killing and control. Human consciousness is that powerful. There's a field called biomorphics, the measurement and understanding of all living systems. We've kind of reduced it down to understanding that we need a mouse and a keyboard, and maybe now we got a little brainwave monitoring and motion capture. If we're going to have an empirical science of creation, it is time to design a whole new set of instruments that measure manifestation. This is the most important instrument right here. This instrument right here can tell you everything that the formulas can't tell you. This system right here is the most advanced form of measurement of consciousness in the universe. Your intuition will tell you right away if somebody's lying. Your heart-based intention will detect lack of integrity. Let's listen to that. Biomimicry, the study of imitating nature. If we can measure thoughts and intention, and we can measure the process of manifestation to form, nature's already figured that out in all of creation. We don't know how old the universe really is. These figures of 14 billion years, 16 billion years, it's outside of access to our conscious mind, that information. In biomimicry, we learn that there are already patterns of creation that are very efficient. The way trees bring water up from the ground to the sky. The way the energy system of the planet is balanced. It is a fully living system, a being. There are beings in the universe that chose to express themselves as nebulas and entire galaxies. And they're talking to us right now. They are also aspects of who we are. Let's learn how to play with the scale of nature in all its forms. This is one of my paintings called Ascension, when all of our bodies become united, all that we are, and we become stars. That's a real process that's happening right now. Let's figure out what that's about. There are 3 pillars in my research and in my work. One is about energy. The second is healing. And the third I call cosmic awareness. Yes, this has to do with extraterrestrials. This has to do with who is our galactic family. I don't necessarily accept that this is the only possibility in the universe. This is what's happening right now. All 3 of these are self-organizing systems. All we have to do is give them the intention of how we want healing to happen, how we want energy to happen, how we want to expand our consciousness. Let's just say you talk to somebody and ask them, do you believe a world in peace? Do you believe the entire planet can be in peace without one weapon? That frequency is a reality in my consciousness. It is very real. I don't have to argue that humanity is inherently dangerous and violent. I don't have to argue that we have to have differences of positive, negative society, blah, blah, blah. The question is, can we hold in our consciousness the idea of a peaceful planet and be okay with that? Can we hold the idea and frequency and signature of a planet without money? Can we feel comfortable of just even saying it? Because children can. They're ahead of us on that one. I used to work in a virtual reality lab at the University of Washington. This is where we create virtual worlds. The head-mounted display, you put on the data glove and fly around virtual worlds. And I've learned some metrics of reality. 2 metrics that I'm going to talk about is the sense of presence. How do you develop an experience where your system, your entire set of bodies feel and believe they are in a place? It's not like looking at a document or a web page. You're stuck your head in another environment. It may not look like this, but you feel you're in a place. The second one is the sense of immersion. How much is that environment around you? Did I step into a virtual world that engages me? Not like a set of menu systems, or not like a system of education, or not like a system of academia, but I've actually stepped into the mind of another creator. These metrics become interesting because I believe they're part of the formula of the technology that we need to build. It has to have a sense of presence. We cannot just build boxes that sit outside your house and power your toaster and your microwave and your television. To me, that's not shifting anything. I want to step into a home that's healing me, that's relaxing me. I would like a home that takes care of me, grows my food, recycles my water, and suddenly I don't have to fight for any of those basic needs. Let's invert Maslow's theory of basic needs, where consciousness, spirituality, self-actualization are the first things we look at, with full belief that if we connect with that, we will have food and money and abundance and everything else. This is a program that I co-founded called the Light Comet Star Kids Camp. The idea is to teach consciousness from the very get-go. Children can learn mental telepathy, astral projection, telekinesis, teleportation. It can be taught. We can use technology as simple as sonically tuned image cards and words that are frequencies of ideas that they can play with.
Ducks love nature.
This is the way of building those poems out of words and pictures. Build the language of consciousness into education from the very beginning. Kids love it. Dolphins and stars and interstellar travel. This particular group was basically all women for some reason, but it was fine for me. All the girls with the divine feminine energy were kicking ass on the other group of boys who were having a hard time with it. But when we put them all together, this is a technology I developed to teach kids how to superposition themselves so they can learn how to be in 2 or 3 or 10 places at once. This is our mental telepathy, nonverbal communication, trying to crack each other up. I show children what other children are doing around the world. We have indigo children, platinum children, rainbow children, crystal children.
You can swim around all the way around the earth.
Of all kinds of abilities. Can we just accept that this is real and start working with it? I don't need science to teach me. I don't need examples of empirical studies and statistics to tell me that this reality of children is here.
Draw horizontal lines of different colors.
So part of what I intend to do with these type of education is to break those constructs that are already working in their brain. By the time a child is 6, 7 years old, they've had the most abuse, control, and conditioning that you can imagine. So here's where we tunnel through and teach them how to get that creativity going. This is a longer video, but we're just going to keep moving. There's parts where we show visualization. Kids do artwork, and we put them in their own virtual world, and they're standing in the world that they wanted to create. This is a simple visualization. Take your fear and put it in a bubble.
All together, breathe out, blowing the bubbles out of your mouth. Okay, so every time you breathe in, imagine you've been taking in positive light energy into your bodies. Just one thing really fast.
That make you
10
laugh?
seconds. 9, 8.
That I did a star because you always think a shooting star when you think
The dolphins have so much energy. I wanted the rainbow. I wanted like rainbow and my picture is about My name is Callie Villain from Encinitas, California, and I have the power to change the world.
I have the power to change the world.
And I have the power to change the world.
I have the power to change the world.
And I promise that I will make a difference by picking up trash, saving water, respecting nature, and being kind to animals.
Dear Rain, I appreciate it when you fall down and create puddles for children to play in.
Well, I just can't imagine that you brought Callie out of her shell, and she was so confident.
I think that the adults did an awesome job of modeling centering and creativity and expression to the children.
I think it was amazing. My daughter loved it. She's very creative, and I think it's really important to teach children that it's important to be aware of their earth.
I thought it was awesome. Sophia loved it. She came up every night, and she was very inspired.
So what's one example of taking consciousness understanding and playing with geometric field and really building some of this technology? Here's a simple study that I started with, the famous flower of life, drum below Melchizedek's material, and I continued just exploring it, doing studies of the geometry. This is one piece that I did, and I have a printed version out in the lobby. When your mind stares at this is a fractal holographic space. It's a slice of a multidimensional space. And the more you stare, the more we start seeing patterns in DNA and lotus flowers and spheres and circles. Yeah? The vibration in your brain is changing the moment you're experiencing this. New dendrites are already wanting to connect to say, what the heck am I staring at? This isn't a commercial for sugar-free whatever. This is staring into the lattices, the geometry, the forms, the rules of engagement for manifestation. So I continue layering and studying. What can I abstract out of this? It's infinite. This is teaching me relationships, calculus, mathematics, trigonometry, the relationship between humans and nature in an abstract sense. This is more of the three-dimensional view of that. So I created virtual worlds where you can fly around and explore the flower of life and pull out shapes like the famous hypercube, which is like the shadow of a fourth dimensional object. And I created a structure called the hypercube resonator. What would it be like to create an Xbox game system for consciousness that developers can program experiences inside? This is designed at the proportions of the law of squares and the king's chamber in the Great Pyramid. So imagine stepping into this the system. I proposed it to several clients already. You step inside, the doors close, and it can be configured inside with props, furniture, stand up and dance, whatever you like. And we start feeding your system vibrations and imagery and music to evolve all of the different bodies that we are. Here's another structure I developed called Pyramedia. It's a structure that is like a kiosk. When you touch it, the frequency to activate the blue chakra of communication starts working. There's a quartz crystal on the tip of the Pyramedia, and there's video all the way around it. And it's encouraging people to come to it and touch it and interact with each other. I don't have to have statistics to tell me how this works. I've built these things, and I've tested them on thousands of people. I built one of these hypercubes in my living room at my art studio. I invited my friends, and instead of doing shots of alcohol, we had a menu of experiences. You can have the out-of-body experience, you can have the dreams of flying, or you have an interaction with a celebrity. We put you in the virtual world. This is a portal into another dimension that reaches your psyche. This same system can be used to teach advanced consciousness. This is another design that I did for a client in Dubai. The understanding is that couples who need to come together would have a space that would be their canvas for lovemaking. Fun, huh? And I read somewhere that when humans make love, interstellar beings love to watch because we put out all kinds of light. Our chakra system's interacting. So I wanted to play with that. I wanted to see if we could have a space that you can go in, surrounded by water. The floor is all water. That's like an island. And if you say kind words to your partner, the system reacts a little bit. And if you hug and kiss your partner, the system comes alive. And yes, of course, it's powered by free energy. There's a lot more to that design. There's nanotechnology, there is holographic projection, but I'm giving you like a quick overview. This is the Vossa projection crystal. I wanted to design a device that children can put on their bedside at night. It records their dreams. The next day, the difference potentials in their hand is what powers the crystal, and they can project their dreams and show their friends, this is what I was dreaming, thinking about. This thing records and monitors not just your brain waves, but your entire body envelope of energy. This is taking biomorphics to a new level. This crystal can dock just by walking by the hypercube resonator. This means that all of this technology is self-aware, talks to each other. It monitors the magnetic fields of your heart, that kind of stuff. This is a space that I designed for another client called Celestial. These are virtual reality environments that you step in these spheres and play games. I decided to do some artwork, and I did a residency in San Diego with an artivist named Mario Torero, who does murals that are about consciousness and movement. And these are my two first paintings when I was in his studio. I had a DMT experience after studying Alex Gray's work and decided to do an experiment of visualizing what does it look like when we eat from the tree of immortality and humanity activates our healing and all our potential. All chakra systems become one. 144 vibrational, 12 DNA strand activation. You like that dirty talk? I like it. So let's try a little experiment here. And I have a beautiful companion here, my water computing device that you can see. It's already starting to structure. If we could zoom in the camera, you could probably see all the little bubbles. This is the kind of work that one can do every day in their everyday life. I'm going to share a little bit of a concept that I'm working on called the center of mass creation. The idea is to have a laboratory that starts unfolding much of what I'm talking about today. I've designed this a couple of years ago, but I've kind of held back on releasing it until today. This is the first time this concept has been presented at this level of detail. In manifesting the engines of mass creation, at the center of mass creation, the product are these EMCs. It's the move away from these weapons of mass destruction. An engine of mass creation is something that we create, that we put into play in the world, and it suddenly just sprouts. And it continually gives and gives and gives. The hypercube resonator is an engine of mass creation. The Vossa crystal is an engine of mass creation. All of the things that I do, my artwork is an engine of mass creation. The intention of healing is in everything that I do. I have some of my artwork out in the lobby. Put your hands over it. Feel the energy. It's completely charged. The 12 laboratories integrated into one big facility, beginning with the Breakthrough Energy Movement Lab. It's finally time to make this happen. Software tools for creators, infrastructure, networking, and a huge archive of projects around the world. The BEM Lab solves real problems. This is about interventions in countries, working in communities. I don't know what's going to happen with the economy. I'm not interested in what's going to happen with the money and the banking and the wars. Let them have that world. This world is that for one moment, we have one community that's running Cal Earth domes or eco-villages, structured water, and this is one of the headquarters, the healing lab. It's time to show the world what healing is, balancing our energies, awakening to our potential. This laboratory would be the demonstration space for thousands of technologies. This is the clearinghouse where we can integrate what you're going to see in a moment. The Cosmic Awareness Lab. We are not alone in the universe. We've never been alone. That's not even my quote. So let's just start working with that. If we feel that the overlords of this planet are unseen, I'm going to show you some unseen entities that express themselves as galaxies, that express themselves as universes. We can play with this now. Those level of beings and consciousness is interacting with us all the time. The Light Lab, where we study light as a conscious substance, as a bringer of life. Every single lab, like the water lab, will have a computing device that gives us infinite quantum storage, that gives us access to the natural intelligence of the universe. You can ask water, you can ask crystals, and they want to help us. A crystal lab where we have holographic storage of information, where we can see that there's actually universes inside crystals, and they're ready to teach us so much more. These elementals were here in the universe much longer than we were. Obviously the Sound Resonance Lab, Magnetics Lab, where we study magnetics as a form of conscious light. Magnets that are spectral in nature and which change frequencies. The Searle effect generator is that type of device. You can tune it like an instrument. You could almost say it plays different colors for different functions. The Holographic Media Lab, fourth dimensional media. It's time. Forget the 3D glasses and all of that. Let's just jump right into quantum tunneling into consciousness. We have a set of cones and rods in our eyes, in our retina, that are reserved to go directly to the pineal gland. Anything you project in there goes right into your third eye and to higher connection. No hardware needed. The Biomimicry Lab, this is where we have databases of structures from researchers around the world, 3D models of the most efficient system for distributing water, or the most interesting structure for powering a home. The forms are free. We already have them. Obviously the Biomorphics Lab, rapid prototyping, using the best of CNC routing and 3D printing. How do we minimize that time from having a thought to having something in your hand and putting it to work? The integration space, the event horizon. This is the sound stage, the performance stage for all of the technologies. If I want to mix water and crystals, I want to mix magnetics and something in the healing lab. This is where we need to have complete creative freedom in our research. We can treat researchers like artists that need wide open space for creativity. Do we think it's time for that? I want to fund everybody. I don't care if they want to hoax. I don't care if they want to steal. I don't care if they even don't understand the technology. I want to print my own money and fund everybody. I'm not scared of that. This kind of facility offers us Obviously, the clean energy solutions, the health and wellness, the investment capital, the technology transfer. These are all of the infrastructure mechanisms. When I worked at Sony Systems, when I worked at Microsoft, I learned how to do this. Now it's time to bring it to a new level. We can fund part of this with members that are wanting these solutions. What they would get is access to engines of mass creation, platforms where they can launch their products, the access to technology that not any other organization has. I don't know what not any means, but multidisciplinary. These are the kinds of things that the conscious economy is looking for. The conscious corporation is a new type of structure. The lab is designed to fill the needs of, and I put together 12 industry sectors. So we would work with development partners in each sector. I'm not interested if one corporation is more corrupt than the other. I find the light workers that work in the military. I find the conscious individuals that are in each what we would consider dark organization. And they become evangelists to this kind of work. So no, it's not dirty for me to bring in money and people that might have done some hideous things in the past. I believe in healing. I believe in transformation. It's not for everybody. Rough budget, 12 million seed money for the first 6 laboratories, 144 million. Yes, there's a 12 by 12 kind of thing going on here to build all 12 laboratories. One center of mass creation in each continent would change the landscape. I'm looking for one country that has the valor to say we want to commit to conscious technology. I'm looking for entire areas that say we want something like a center of mass creation. And I see interacting with many people here, like Sasha, who have projects that make the center of mass creation look like the lab on the side. I'm excited by that. You know, there's South Africa individuals here who have projects that are continent-wide. It's time. This is not an incubator. It's a manifestor. It's an accelerator. We are not eggs to be kept warm somewhere on the side. The Center of Mass Creation teaches the methodology for conscious creation from the very beginning. That means any scientist, researcher, artist, contributor gets the benefit of healing, gets the benefit of the higher consciousness, the benefit of interacting with like minds. Transformational design is another name I gave this approach. It's a teaching facility. So if a corporation becomes a member organization, they bring their decision makers to the Center of Mass Creation. We give them the VIP seats to development, and they get healthier, more creative, more capable in their manifestations. That's really the nutshell. Yes, I could go into much philosophy, much mental thinking, but I've done that for quite a while now. I'm ready for taking action. I've built prototypes of everything that you've seen here, and it is real. And that's not even half of what's available. Now I'm part of several teams. I no longer am a renegade working alone. That's been a transformation for me. Namaste in Lakesh.
So, interestingly, unbelievable, we finally expanded time. That was what we've been looking for. And Fernando did. I told you he was a wizard.